Hello everyone, welcome back to BEFFIOBSWWM, beating every single Final Fantasy in order because something is wrong with me. Now today is something a little weird, slightly odd, because I don't know if this is something we are beating. Today we are covering Legend of the Crystals Final Fantasy, which is the first non-game here in this BEFFIOBSWWM series. Now, right, it says beating, which kind of implies games, but there are in fact shows and books and movies here. A couple movies, a couple books, one manga even. And this is the first show, Final Fantasy, or Legend of the Crystals Final Fantasy 4-episode OVA. They actually released like 2 weeks before Final Fantasy VI. March 21st, 1994, which is exactly 10 years before I was born. March 21st, 2004. So I got a special attachment to the series already, I feel. And so I don't know if it was beat, maybe completed, maybe BEFFIOBSWWM is better. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm going to keep saying BEFFIOBSWWM because that's funny. It's in my mind already. However, let's talk about Legend of the Crystals Final Fantasy. Now, this 4-episode OVA, around 30 minutes per episode, a little less, so averages out to 2-hour total runtime watched in one night. And it's all right. Takes place 200 years after the events of Final Fantasy V, which I liked as big Final Fantasy V fan so far. And it basically, the protagonist is a descendant of Bart's. And then there are 3 other party members that she gets, and they all have to save the world from Death who's non-descendant of Exodeth, but kind of like appeared right after Sid died in like 200 years ago, and took over Sid's brain to figure out how to use the crystals to become the ruler of the universe. Because it's kind of weird with the Final Fantasy V continuity, because the whole thing with Sid's story arc is kind of like it really parallels before its time the thought process, or the original thought process of like the creator of the internet. At least that's how I thought about it. I'm a computer science guy, so the creator of the internet, originally he thought it was like internet was a great thing, but lately he's been saying that it's his greatest mistake and it's one of the greatest evils in the world. And Sid thought the same thing too. He created all these machines to help to extract power from the crystals in order to power things. He basically created the Industrial Revolution single-handedly because he's a great mind. And then after he learns that it's actually siphoning the power out of the crystals and making them weaker, he starts dedicating his life to hating those said machines and trying to convince all of the kings that he sold those machines to take them down. The king's like, no, it's giving us so much stuff. And then in the end, when he's like, I'm not working the crystals anymore, I'm not doing anything, and he realized that these heroes need his help, and he'll help save the crystals, and then he uses them for good. Instead of using them for evil, he uses them to help the party defeat Exodeth, and they create the ship and everything, and by the end, he kind of realizes, like, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And to me, it's kind of thinking about, like, if I'm talking to the creator of the internet, like, yeah, the internet has done a lot of bad, but think about all of the good it is put into the world and everything that is done. So that's kind of the story arc of Sid in Final Fantasy V. Very beautiful story arc. However, I think they forgot that because it makes him seem like on his deathbed he refuses to tell anyone how to use the crystals, period, point blank at all, even for good, which he just talking to him and Mid worked on the ship together in Final Fantasy V, and Mid, I keep forgetting is like 9 in Final Fantasy V. Either way, anyway, Sid dies, doesn't want to tell the crystals to anyone. His last words are, I curse that I ever used the crystals. Let's get AU or something. And then Death who has a name, and originally before Death comes in, takes his body, takes his brain, travels the universe for 200 years, and now is back to become the ruler of the universe. And it's up to these 4 party members: Leanna, Lanely, I think, Hearts, Balskaz, and Knockoff Etna, who who I forget what her name is as well. I should have done research. I just got back home from my last final. Anyway, yeah, I watched this last night and I forgot the names. Either way, so it's kind of the first episode is they go to the Wind Temple. And it was kind of funny seeing the path that they took to get to the Wind Temple, because like there's some things that I can kind of remember, like they went to a desert, this giant desert monster. I was like, I remember that was scary. They went through a forest and stuff like that, and you know, it wasn't exactly directly like where the Wind Shrine is, because next to the Spiral Mountain place, and Tycoon is all the way down there. And there's a little bit of things. They go to the Wind Temple. They try to get the Wind Crystal. Knockoff Etna tries to steal them because they're pirates. And they do this really funny gag where the guy is like, "Oh, I'll figure out a way," and goes off to do some insane plan. And the girl just kind of figures it out like naturally, because she's like a descendant of Barts and like smart or whatever. Though this was made in 1994. The woman cannot be smart. The woman cannot do anything cool on her own. It has to be the guys doing everything. And so she gets like no cool characterization or like epic moments until the very end. She's like quiet and like kind of ditzy and stupid, which is very annoying. And another thing, the absolute biggest complaint I have with the show is that since then, there's not been an obsession with panty shots, maybe only rivaled by Yandere Simulator. This show has an absolute obsession and just creates shots just to show you the main character's panties for no fucking reason, and it's so fucking annoying. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's every fucking 5 minutes, and I'm like, stop showing me this. I actually was getting annoyed. It's very annoying. Anyway, episode 2 is then Knockoff Etna captures the other 3 main characters, brings them to an island, kidnaps them, and the crystal comes out of Linali's body, and it's Mid from 200 years in the past, and is now like their spirit guide. They have to escape, and Death Notes tries to capture the crystal. Episode 3 is they go to Princess Lena, who I'm assuming is like Princess Lena the Third or whatever, because Lena can't be 200 years old here. She looks too young. So they have to try and find the flying dragon, which is the god of the kingdom of Tycoon. And they do that bit again where the guy tries to do some crazy plan, and then the girl just like does it normally, and then the dragon is like a really tiny thing, and then it grows, and episode 4 they go up and they beat Death Geonos with like guns and shit, which is really funny. And then they actually do some characterization where she's able to use her powers, because the whole time the only thing she's able to do is summon, but she's only able to summon a chocobo. And it's my favorite part about this is that whenever someone's riding a chocobo, no matter the action scene, they do the summon a chocobo, dun 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 dun. And it's very funny. It's very cool. In the end, they'll harness the power of the Wind Crystal, does a wave of chocobos to damage him. And yeah, pretty simple 4-episode story. Kind of gave the vibes of Final Fantasy V, where you had that kind of ragtag group that you wouldn't expect. You had the pirate, like it was the pirate girl from Final Fantasy V. You had the knockoff, like that was knockoff Etna. You have the big soldier, which was Glof, and then you have the guy main character, which would be Bartz, and the girl main character, which I guess would be Lena. Ferris, that's the pirate girl's name. And so it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. Didn't, if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy V, I wouldn't recommend watching this. It's kind of boring. It's 2 hours, so you can give it a watch whatever you want. The animation's good. It has a lot of Dragon Ball vibes. I was getting a lot of Dragon Ball vibes from it. And like the way it's comedy and the way it's drawn, like OG Dragon Ball. But it's in the 90s. It definitely wore the inspiration on its sleeve. And also, I don't know, the intro, how kind of like really sci-fi it was. I know Final Fantasy is a medieval fantasy sci-fi in the realm of wizardry, or sorry, Ultima, in that way. But this is really sci-fi. I think because it's 200 years in the future, they were like, let's make it sci-fi, let's make it techie or whatever. But then in that aspect, it gave Chrono Trigger as well, which again is Akira Toriyama, so it's the whole thing there. But yeah, pretty good. Story was fine, the music was fine. I did find an OST on YouTube, except all of this, like all the videos are like 4 or 5 minutes long or whatever, and then the sound stops at 2 minutes and just 2 minutes of emptiness, so I can't really add them to my playlist or anything. But overall pretty good. It's hard to compare this to the games, right? Because there's 5 other games we've played here. But in terms of enjoyment factor, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10. It's a little boring. I would have stopped myself midway through episode 1. I think like if I was watching this for fun, just the panty stuff was getting on my nerves a lot. But I'm gonna put this right below Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I think that the music in that game just keeps growing on me, and just a lot of the sprites. So that's gonna be the order there. Final Fantasy 3 keeps pissing me off every time I think about that final dungeon, and so I think that's where I'm gonna put it. Pretty fine show. Go watch if you want. Here's the order of everything so far, and now next up is a little game called Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 3 in the West, and you're not gonna see me for a while. I'm kind of putting them out like this because a lot of these things I was backlogged on the videos and a lot of the games. Final Fantasy Adventure 10 hours, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest 15 hours, this 2 hours. I'm on a 35-hour RPG now. Kind of cool with that. I'm gonna take my time with this one. All right. I know nothing about this game. I know literally for a lot of these games, I know some spoilers for them. Like I know the very last thing that happens in Final Fantasy X. I know something that happens in 13-2, like at the end, I think. I mean, it's based on the 13-3's name. Final Fantasy 7, obviously everyone knows like that one spoiler. And to be quite honest, I think that all the spoilers I know for all the Final Fantasy games, but those are all like the ones people say are the best. Obviously, Final Fantasy 7 and 10 are always in 6, but 7 and 10 are always in contention for the greatest Final Fantasy game. 13 is fan favorite, and like has 3 sequels. Final Fantasy 6 though is a lot of people's number 1. And I know nothing, and I mean nothing. I don't know a single character's name. I don't know who the main villain is. All I know is that it takes place in a sci-fi setting as opposed to all the medieval settings. It's like sci-fi first, like Final Fantasy 7 in that way, I think. And that's the only thing I know about it. I know absolutely nothing else. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited. So, without further ado, I will see you guys next time.